Tonight on the Fox 25 Primetime News at 9, we're following breaking news. An officer-involved shooting in southwest Oklahoma City. What we know so far about what led up to shots fired. Plus, a unique proposal to get millions of dollars to help overcrowded jails in the metro. Tonight on the Fox 25 Primetime News at 9.
From the Fox 25 studios in Oklahoma City, this is the Fox 25 Primetime News at 9.
Breaking news right now. In just the last 2 hours, an officer-involved shooting on the city's southwest side. Fox 25's Caroline Vandergriff is on the scene near 33rd and Klein, learning the latest details. Caroline.
Well, what we know at this point is it started out as a domestic violence call and spiraled into something much more. I want to show you this scene here. There is a ton of police officers. This scene stretches for several blocks. Police have a lot of work ahead of them in terms of investigating. Now, when officers pulled up to this home on 33rd, the suspect was firing a gun and aimed that gun at officers and fired at them. 3 officers returned fire. Now, somehow the suspect escaped and showed up at a fire station about 2 miles away. He told firefighters he had been shot and was taken to the hospital. It's not clear how many times he was shot or where, but police say it looks like he will survive those injuries. Now, all 3 officers are okay. One officer was hit in his taser, but he is all right at this point. Those 3 officers will be on paid administrative leave pending this investigation. Now, police expect to be here 8 to 10 hours. They have a huge scene to process, and they want to make sure they can account for all the different rounds from the suspect and the 3 officers. We will, of course, continue to be here and bring you the very latest information on this officer-involved shooting. Mariah?
Of course, Fox 25 will continue to stay on top of this story, and we'll have the latest information for you on our website. That's okcfox.com. And we'll check back in with Caroline in just a few minutes as this story continues to develop. Tonight, a large grass fire near McLeod is now under control. The fire started around 2:30 this afternoon. Now you can see that there is a lot of smoke in the area. This is near I-40 and South McLeod. Multiple crews had to work to put out those flames, trying to prevent it from crossing the road. Oklahoma City firefighters did help the McLeod Fire Department get that fire under control. Right now, one woman is recovering from smoke inhalation after her home caught fire today. It happened near Southeast 39th and Shields. This video taken from our Fox 25 Mother Nature drone. Everyone inside did get out safely, and the firefighters were able to put that fire out. Right now, multiple people are dead after severe weather leaves a path of destruction in parts of Kentucky and Tennessee. Most of the damage happened late last night, as you can see right here. Now, according to the National Weather Service, parts of Kentucky and Tennessee were under a tornado watch until early this morning. Parts of the region also dealing with massive flooding. Emergency officials say that after the damaging wind threat and the heavy rain, flash flooding will continue this week.
Now, Oklahoma does have a very low chance for some severe weather coming in on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's as a storm system moves in from the west on Tuesday and departs on Wednesday. The good news is, though, Monday is looking to be very, very nice. We'll start off with what's going to be happening. So this is our surface analysis, and we're looking for a storm to form right up by Denver. It's going to form there and move into the central Great Plains and really move in towards western portions of Kansas and drag a cold front dry line in through the Oklahoma City metro, and that will fire off some of those showers and thunderstorms. That's on Tuesday. For right now, we actually do have a little bit of rain shower activity moving through the Stillwater area right here, and that will depart as we go throughout the next couple hours. So once those showers depart, it's really going to be a pretty nice night. Low temperature right around 30 degrees, 10% chance for those rain showers. No chance for any rain showers early tomorrow morning. For your commute to work, basically going to be solar glare. Could be a little bit icy out there depending on where you are, but really those temperatures warm up very quickly. How about 44 degrees by 10 a.m., 55 by noon, into the 60s through the afternoon hours. Nice partly cloudy skies. We are again going to be seeing those temperatures nice and comfortable throughout the day. And we're going to talk about those chances for rain coming up in your Storm Watch forecast.
All new at 9, Oklahoma City has earned a top spot in a national competition, and the grand prize is worth millions of dollars. The Bloomberg Philanthropies Mayor's Challenge encourages city leaders to be bold and incorporate innovative ideas to confront the city's toughest problems. Oklahoma City's proposal focuses on criminal justice reform. Our state has the second highest incarceration rate in the country and imprisons women at a higher rate than any other state. So Oklahoma City wants to implement an innovative data-driven system to prevent low-level offenders from returning to jail and create a safer community. Fox 25's Caroline Vandergriff reports.
Oklahoma City's jails are overcrowded. Its criminal justice system in need of reform.
There's a huge number of partners at the table that have come together and said, let's come together and look at this problem holistically.
A team of leaders from the Oklahoma City County Health Department, law enforcement, and the judicial system is hoping to tackle one of the city's toughest problems with a unique proposal.
So we want to prevent folks from, even winding up in the criminal justice system, but those that are real low-level offenders and that just don't really need to be there.
Community health workers will use a shared data system to identify people who need help, not time behind bars.
So they may, look at their housing situation, or their access to food, or their need for mental health, or their need for just simple health care services.
In order to prevent them from ending up in jail or to help them end the cycle of incarceration.
People who have access to things like, immunizations, or access to housing, or access to transportation, or access to jobs are healthier.
And healthier communities can turn into safer ones.
That was Caroline Vandergriff reporting. Oklahoma City will spend the next 6 months building this new data system and testing it. Then they'll resubmit their proposal in August to the Mayor's Challenge. Oklahoma City's proposal was selected out of more than 300 entries across the nation. 34 other cities are also in the testing phase. In October, Bloomberg Philanthropies will give a $1 million award to 4 of those cities and a grand prize of $5 million to one city. New tonight, the Osage Casino is back open after evacuating earlier this morning. Hazmat crews and the fire department investigated possible chemical exposure. Initially, they were called out on a carbon monoxide poisoning. They say the problem was from someone cleaning using ammonia and bleach. Firefighters say that creates an irritant gas. First responders did treat 8 people and 4 did go to the hospital. Several people taken into custody after a fight involving 40 people inside of Penn Square Mall. It happened last night around 8 near the food court. Oklahoma City police tell Fox 25 a group of teenagers got into a fight and then were kicked out by officers. There was a report of a shooting in all of this, but police say they never found a gun or anyone who had been shot. All new at 9, as the battle over gun control continues, one Oklahoma woman says that now is not the time to focus on that. She herself is a survivor of a shooting at her school in Fort Gibson in 1999. Savannah Christie was only 12 years old when she was shot outside of her middle school. She has recovered, but every school shooting since then takes her back to that day and the need for more security in schools. Amy Jensen has more.
Savannah Christie was standing with her friends outside of Fort Gibson Middle School when she heard a loud bang.
My immediate first thought was, well, that's firecrackers.
She was wrong.
I turned around and I saw Seth, and I saw him holding the gun, and I thought, well, that's fake. There's no way, he's got a real gun.
But he did.
And he pulled the trigger again, and I saw sparks fly.
Christie ran for cover but never made it. Her classmate Seth Trickey emptied his dad's 9mm into the scattering students, hitting 5. One of those hit was Christie. She was shot in the face.
I remember after that praying and absolutely having the most peaceful and calming feeling come over me.
Christie thought she was going to die that day in the parking lot, but the calming feeling made it okay, and she hopes those victims in past shootings who didn't make it felt that calm too.
Maybe they weren't scared, they weren't in pain, they weren't suffering, and they were just at peace. Because that's my hope, that whenever I see this happen in the news again.
And it's something we see far too often.
I don't think taking our guns away is the right option.
She does think parents need to be more vigilant about gun safety.
We need to hold them liable for leaving a weapon where, a child can get a hold of it.
But Christy says that conversation is for another day.
The one thing that everybody can come together and agree upon is that our schools need to be safe.
That was Amy Jensen reporting. Christy wants all schools to have metal detectors, resource officers, mental health checks, and support from other parents in the administration. There are new shocking details from the mass shooting in Parkland, Florida. We're learning that multiple armed officers did not act to stop this tragedy. Now some are calling on the local sheriff to resign. Fox News correspondent Matt Finn reports.
We understand everything wasn't done perfectly.
Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel sparking outrage while defending his department's response to the tragic shooting in Parkland, Florida. New claims at least 3 sheriff's deputies waited outside Stoneman Douglas High School while a shooter killed multiple people inside.
Deputies make mistakes, police officers make mistakes, we all make mistakes.
Florida State Representative Bill Hager and those who live in the community now calling on Governor Rick Scott to remove Israel from his post, claiming the top cop is guilty of neglect of duty and incompetence.
It was a shameful letter. It was politically motivated. I never met that man. He doesn't know anything about me. And the letter was full of misinformation.
On Thursday, Armed School Resource Officer Deputy Scott Peterson resigned after accusations he did nothing to stop the massacre. As the investigation into even more officer neglect gets underway, Florida Governor Rick Scott is now focusing on preventing another tragedy.
One, we have to make sure our schools are safe. Law enforcement, harden the schools. We've got to make sure we deal with the fact that there are people out there that have mental illness issues. They shouldn't have access to a gun.
And now Florida Governor Rick Scott is calling for an investigation into law enforcement's response here at Stoneman Douglas High School. The governor is asking the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to investigate. In Parkland, Florida, Matt Finn, Fox News.
In Oklahoma, Bixby schools, police, and the FBI are working together after one school threat and now another. The district wrapped up an investigation after an Instagram threat on Friday, but later the interim superintendent says she learned of another threat from a social media post that mentioned school violence. Now the district is working with police to come up with a safety plan. The superintendent says school will be in session on Monday. New tonight, a man has died after a crash near Calumet. OHP says it happened on I-40. Troopers say Richard Nard failed to yield to an emergency vehicle parked on the inside lane with their lights flashing. He hit it head on. That emergency vehicle was working on a crash on the shoulder during the icy weather last week. Nard was taken to the hospital where he later died. Happening today, we've got your back with a way to get some essentials for your kids at a fraction of the normal price. Shoppers came out today to Edmonds' new conference center for Rialanas Children's Consignment event. The event caters to moms and families. Rialanas is offering spring and summer clothes, and it goes through Tuesday. There are thousands of items up for grabs. Most of them are marked 60 to 90% off retail prices.
Providing clothing and toys and the baby gear that you need to raise a family can get quite expensive. And so this is a way for families to sell the items that they have to earn money for their families, but then to turn around and buy new items for their kids.
After the event is over, children's items are donated to nonprofit organizations that directly give to families in need. Again, this event runs through Tuesday at the new Edmond Conference Center. Also happening today, a volunteer event to help victims of domestic violence. It was a meeting at the YWCA shelter where victims can safely stay. Volunteers helped clean up the shelter and make sure that it's tidy for people who are staying there. Attendees also spent time talking with people of diverse faiths and belief systems. The meeting was hosted by the Interfaith Alliance of Oklahoma. This weekend, a conference on cannabis here in the metro to raise awareness about the product that could bring something to the state. State Question 788 would legalize marijuana for medical purposes if it passes in June. Deshita Dawson is one of the founders of the Cannabis Education Advocacy Symposium and Expo, or CEAS. She says that she's heard from clients who are interested in getting this kind of business started right here in Oklahoma.
I think the hardest thing is that this perception that cannabis is only about getting high and about smoking joints.
I think more opportunities to educate people about facts and evidence versus paranoia and reefer madness is what we have to do.
Former state senator and gubernatorial candidate Connie Johnson was the keynote speaker, and she says this would be a positive for the state's prison system, economy, and health care. The vote for making medical marijuana legal will be held on June 26th. Tonight, the Democrats are hitting back with their own memo. Coming up, we've got your back with what it says about if the Department of Justice spied on the Trump campaign. The Democrats are having their say. They've released a memo that gives their party's take on an earlier memo that was prepared by Republicans looking into allegations of Russian meddling in the last presidential election. Fox's Ellison Barber reports.
The Democrats' memo is 10 pages long. It's a rebuttal to the 4-page memo their Republican colleagues on the House Intelligence Committee released a few weeks ago. Unlike the Republican memo, this one has redactions on every page, and the Democrats claim their information shows that FBI and DOJ officials did not abuse their surveillance authority when they sought a FISA warrant to spy on former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page.
Carter Page was of interest for his connections to the Russians for years before 2016, October of 2016. He'd had all sorts of contact. He'd been with the Russians. He'd been interviewed by the FBI.
Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee claimed that the so-called anti-Trump dossier prepared by former British spy Christopher Steele formed an essential part of the Page FISA application, and that the initial application and 3 renewals failed to mention that the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign helped to fund the dossier. The Democrats' memo disputes that. It says raw intelligence reporting by Steele did not inform the FBI's decision to initiate its counterintelligence investigation in late July 2016. It claims investigators received Steele's reporting in mid-September, more than 7 weeks later. It also says they told the court about the assessed political motivation of those who hired Steele, but it doesn't specifically name the DNC or Clinton campaign.
You have a political party in this country actually saying, don't worry, American public, it's okay. We do this all the time. We're going to go dig up dirt on our opponent, get it from Russians, get it from the Brits, and we're going to take it to the FBI and open up an investigation to another campaign.
Democrats claim the Republican memo cherry-picked facts and was nothing more than an attempt to discredit Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. In Washington, I'm Ellison Barber, Fox News.
An official trip to Washington is off for Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto after a tense phone call with President Donald Trump. The visit had initially been planned for March. The Washington Post initially reported the cancellation, saying it came about because of a strained phone call happening February 20th. During the call, Peña Nieto reportedly called off the trip because Trump refused to publicly affirm Mexico's position on a border wall, specifically that Mexico will not pay for it. Turning to entertainment news, going into this weekend, only 3 movies had ever topped the $100 million at the domestic box office in their second weekend in theaters. That's The Avengers, Jurassic World, and Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Did the list grow this weekend? Here is David Daniel with the box office top 5.
50 Shades Freed fell to 5th place, grossing $6.9 million in its 3rd weekend in theaters. The sci-fi mystery thriller Annihilation began its run in 4th place with $11 million. Peter Rabbit hopped down to 3rd place, gobbling up $12.5 million.
This will be a game night to remember. Oh boy.
Game Night took the silver medal in its debut weekend, earning $16.6 million, a far cry from number 1. Wakanda Forever. Black Panther stayed number 1 with $108 million, giving the Marvel movie $400 million in its first 10 days. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We are watching the chance for some rain showers coming up. Not tomorrow, but definitely on Tuesday and Wednesday. There will be rain showers out there, maybe even some thunderstorms coming into Oklahoma. As we go through tonight, though, we are generally going to stay dry, except for those areas which are seeing rain showers right now. Low temperature right around 30 degrees, 31 by 6 a.m. Nice and clear. Patchy frost and fog is possible. But for the most part, it's going to be nice and clear. Bus stop forecast. It's going to be cold in the morning, so layers, heavy coat in the morning, and be sure that you can pack it into the backpacks by the time you pick them up, because it will be relatively warm out there. How about this? High temperature right around 65 degrees about 2 to 3 p.m. And then we stay relatively mild as we go into the overnight hours. But there is more rain coming, like what I was talking about with those thunderstorms. Likely I'll talk about how strong they'll be and where they'll be coming up in your Storm Watch forecast.
The search is on for a